The Gifts of Imperfection, Let Go of Who You Think You're Supposed to Be and Embrace Who You Are by Brené Brown is a profound exploration of the importance of embracing our imperfections and living authentically. Brown, a researcher and storyteller, draws on her years of study in vulnerability, courage, worthiness, and shame to offer insights on how to live a wholehearted life. The central theme of the book is the idea that embracing our imperfections allows us to live more fulfilling, connected, and joyful lives. Brown's approach is based on the premise that it's through accepting our flaws and vulnerabilities that we can experience true belonging, love, and authenticity. The book is structured around 10 key guideposts that focus on cultivating courage, compassion, and connection. Each guidepost offers practical advice on how to embrace imperfections and let go of the societal pressures and expectations that hinder our well-being. The power of imperfection. Brown begins by addressing the societal and cultural pressures that encourage perfectionism. She explains how perfectionism is often mistaken for high standards or striving for excellence, but, in reality, it is a defense mechanism rooted in shame. Perfectionism can create a barrier to self-acceptance and hinder the development of authentic relationships. Brown suggests that the pursuit of perfection is exhausting and leads to feelings of inadequacy, as there is no way to meet the unrealistic standards that we often set for ourselves. She argues that imperfection is a natural part of being human and that accepting our imperfections is essential for developing resilience and living authentically. By letting go of the need to be perfect, we open ourselves to vulnerability, which is the key to building real connections with others. Brown emphasizes that vulnerability is not a weakness but a source of strength and courage. Cultivating courage, compassion, and connection. One of the main tenets of the book is the importance of courage, compassion, and connection in living a wholehearted life. Brown describes wholehearted living as a way of engaging with the world from a place of worthiness. People who live wholeheartedly have the courage to be imperfect, the compassion to be kind to themselves and others, and the ability to connect with others on a deep level. Courage is the willingness to face discomfort, to be vulnerable, and to take risks. For Brown, courage is not the absence of fear but the ability to act in spite of fear. She emphasizes that living courageously means being willing to show up as ourselves, even when it feels risky. Compassion is the practice of treating ourselves and others with kindness and understanding, particularly in moments of pain or failure. Brown highlights how self-compassion is essential for healing shame and for embracing our imperfections. Compassion allows us to accept our mistakes without judgment and to extend grace to ourselves when we fall short of expectations. Connection is the result of being authentic and vulnerable. Brown argues that connection is the essence of what it means to be human. When we are able to be our true selves, we are more likely to build deep, meaningful relationships with others. Vulnerability and authenticity foster connection, allowing us to experience true belonging and love. Letting go of perfectionism. One of the key aspects of the book is its exploration of how perfectionism holds us back from living fully. Brown describes perfectionism as a shield against feelings of inadequacy and shame. People who struggle with perfectionism often feel the need to prove their worth by achieving perfection in every area of life, whether it be in their appearance, work, or relationships. However, perfectionism leads to a constant cycle of stress and self-criticism, and it can prevent people from taking risks or trying new things. Brown explains that perfectionism is driven by fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of not being good enough. By letting go of the need to be perfect, we can reduce stress and anxiety, and open ourselves up to new possibilities. Instead of striving for perfection, Brown encourages readers to focus on progress and growth. She advocates for embracing mistakes and imperfections as opportunities for learning and development. When we stop trying to meet impossible standards, we allow ourselves to experience joy and satisfaction in our efforts, rather than measuring our worth by external achievements. Embracing vulnerability. Vulnerability is one of the core concepts of the book. Brown defines vulnerability as the willingness to show up and be seen, even when we can't control the outcome. She explains that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness but rather an essential part of living authentically. Vulnerability is what allows us to form real connections with others and to experience love and intimacy. Brown stresses that in order to cultivate vulnerability, we must be willing to confront our fears and uncertainties. By being vulnerable, we open ourselves to both the possibility of rejection and the possibility of meaningful connection. This is where the power of courage comes in. Having the courage to be vulnerable, despite the risks, is essential for living a wholehearted life. The book offers guidance on how to embrace vulnerability in everyday life, whether it's in relationships, work, or personal growth. Brown provides strategies for building the courage to be vulnerable and shows that doing so leads to greater emotional resilience, creativity, and authenticity. The guideposts for wholehearted living. In the book, Brown outlines 10 guideposts for wholehearted living, principles and practices that help individuals embrace imperfection, vulnerability, and authenticity. These guideposts include: 1. Cultivating authenticity by letting go of what people think. 2. Cultivating self-compassion by letting go of perfectionism. 3. Cultivating a resilient spirit by letting go of numbing and powerlessness. 4. Cultivating gratitude and joy by letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark. 5. Cultivating intuition and trusting faith by letting go of the need for certainty. 6. Cultivating creativity by letting go of comparison. 7. Cultivating play and rest by letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. 8. Cultivating calm and stillness by letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. 9. Cultivating meaningful work by letting go of self-doubt and supposed to. 10. Cultivating laughter, song, and dance by letting go of being cool and always in control. Each guidepost offers a specific action or mindset that allows individuals to overcome the barriers that hold them back from living authentically. Brown emphasizes that embracing these guideposts is not a one-time achievement but a lifelong practice that requires continuous self-reflection, patience, and self-love. Letting go of shame. Another central theme of the Gifts of Imperfection is the role of shame in holding people back from living a fulfilled life. Brown explains that shame is the deeply ingrained feeling that we are not good enough or that we are inherently flawed. Shame can prevent us from embracing our true selves and from connecting with others, as we often feel the need to hide our imperfections. In the book, Brown offers strategies for shame resilience, the ability to recognize, understand, and overcome shame. She emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of worthiness, learning to be self-compassionate, and finding ways to share our vulnerabilities with trusted others. By confronting shame and accepting ourselves as we are, we free ourselves to experience deeper connection and a more meaningful life. Conclusion. In the Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown challenges readers to let go of the societal expectations of perfection and to embrace their authentic, imperfect selves. The book offers a powerful message about the importance of vulnerability, courage, and connection in living a wholehearted life. By understanding and practicing the 10 guideposts for wholehearted living, individuals can learn to cultivate self-compassion, let go of shame, and embrace their imperfections as gifts. Brown's message is clear: when we embrace who we are, imperfections and all, we can live more joyful, connected, and fulfilling lives.